Welcome to the AC 24/7 Top Story Countdown. We'll guide you through the biggest news of the day. Our focus, advocating our rights, advocating equality, advocating health, and advocating Earth. Here's our pick for number 4.
Police confirming that they have been using ground-penetrating radar technology and a backhoe to dig outside the home of serial-killing suspect Rex Heuermann to see if they can find anything of forensic value underneath that ground, perhaps more evidence of human remains.
It is a different type of technology, but it will help us be able to identify anything in that backyard that we need to take into our possession.
Authorities not ruling out today that Heuermann might be linked to more victims than the 3 murders he is currently charged with.
It's hard to say. Once again, this person's been at large for a long period of time. We'll see if there's any other victims over on Ocean Parkway or anywhere else throughout Long Island.
Police will continue searching the home for at least 1 or 2 more days, the police commissioner told reporters. And investigators also note the importance of searching through the garage and attic as well. A law enforcement source confirmed to CNN.
I hope that they don't find something, but at the same token, I feel like it's just going to be more evidence on top of evidence for this guy.
Bonnie Buford said Heuermann has been to a local grocery store she works at in the past.
That's what made me get intrigued with the whole storyline, because I'm like, dang, I really seen him. Yeah. So, but I didn't suspect that he was doing that, but he looked like he could be up to something.
Investigators not ruling out other suspects in the killings.
I think that this investigation is going to last as long as it takes to make sure that every piece of evidence that's gathered, every suspect, or if it's just Mr. Heuermann, will be excluded or precluded from this investigation or possibly being a suspect.
The investigation spanning beyond New York to 3 other states, something the sheriff says was unexpected. The sheriff also noting that Heuermann has been stoic during his interactions in jail.
If you think about someone that 2 weeks ago was walking around freely, he seemed very comfortable inside of the cell.
TheAdvocateChannel.com looks at the world through the lens of equality and inclusion. Subscribe, like, and share now. AC 24/7's Top Story Countdown continues with our producer's pick for number 3.
Business conditions are improving, and when it comes to our ever-changing economy, Wall Street appears to be optimistic. From Washington to Wall Street to your wallet,
there's a lot on tap this week, most notably the Federal Reserve meeting and expected to raise interest rates.
After pausing in June, experts say the central bank is poised to hike interest rates by an additional quarter point Wednesday in its ongoing battle with inflation.
There's still a ways to go. Expect the Fed to underscore that message and also drive home the point that they're willing to continue raising rates in the fall if necessary, if we don't see further easing of inflation pressures.
While rate hikes are in part intended to give consumers relief by cooling inflation, they do that by making borrowing even more expensive.
For consumers, don't let up on that debt. Even if the Federal Reserve stops raising interest rates, rates are still very, very high, and they're going to be high for a while.
Also expected to move markets this week, a slew of second quarter earnings reports from major corporations.
The bulk of this year's market rally has been driven by less than 10 big tech names. And if you start to see some softness either in their earnings or their forecasts for earnings going forward, the market could see a pretty notable pullback.
The good news, although investors and economists alike are still anticipating an economic slowdown in some form, hope of a soft landing remains as the U.S. economy seeks balance in the post-pandemic era.
I think the expectation is that if we do get a recession, that it is likely more on the mild side.
And looking ahead to Friday, we'll get new data from the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. That's the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which could give us more clues in terms of what happens next. Reporting from Washington, I'm Chris Wynn.
Like the Advocate Channel on Facebook for the best way to get updated stories that advocate for equality, justice, our rights, and more. AC 24/7 continues with today's top 2 pick.
Is artificial intelligence coming for your job? There are growing signs that AI is already disrupting the global workforce, and experts say it's just the beginning.
There are people who will learn to use AI and they will take your job because they will become significantly more productive than you will be if you're not able to partner with an AI model.
Goldman Sachs economist predicting 300 million full-time jobs could be affected by the latest wave of AI, which has created platforms like ChatGPT. And a new analysis estimates nearly 80% of women could be disproportionately affected by the adoption of AI. That's compared to 58% of working men, according to research from the University of North Carolina.
The world has changed. These are new tools. You can't fear them. You just have to learn to use them.
All that is already impacting nearly every industry, from art and music, where AI-generated songs are more affordable since there's no producer, composer, or artist to pay.
It's taken away opportunity from songwriters, producers, and artists, right? So the people are trying to feed them, their families.
The manufacturing sector also seen an impact. And then there's fast food, where AI is ready to take your order.
Classic or bacon barbecue mother cruncher.
Places like this Checkers restaurant in Iowa are already using AI for their drive-through window.
Whatever the guest says, it will react to that. It's crazy. And they'll just start a conversation.
Follow the Advocate channel on Twitter and Instagram to stay updated on stories that matter every day. We're now at our #1 story of the day. Take a look.
In Phoenix, first responders are dealing with more calls for heat-related distress. They put this man in a harness filled with ice and cool water to get his body temperature down.
Let's pour water all over him.
Phoenix is at the epicenter of a string of heat alerts across the southwestern U.S., the Plains, and Florida that covered more than 35 million people today. Phoenix has seen 25 consecutive days with a high temperature above 110 degrees.
It's miserable, actually. I don't get out that much. I stay inside.
It's so hot in the Phoenix area that people have been burned just by falling on the ground. One doctor saying the temperature of asphalt can reach 180 degrees in the afternoon.
The pavement is so hot that it only takes a fraction of a second to get a pretty deep burn.
Record heat was expected to continue in El Paso and San Angelo, Texas. South Florida under an excessive heat warning over the weekend, with temperatures that experts said could feel like 112. Hikers at national and state parks in Arizona and California have been warned for weeks that it's dangerous to hike in those remote areas when it's so hot. One expert says it's almost certain that July will be the warmest month the entire planet has seen in recorded history.
As long as we continue to burn fossil fuels and generate carbon pollution and the planet continues to heat up, we're going to see more of these unprecedented extreme weather events.
Unprecedented, extreme, and lethal. According to the CDC, more than 700 people die from extreme heat each year in the U.S.
What's the most common mistake people make in weather like this?
The most common mistake people make is trying to tough it out, trying to think that it's just going to cool off, just trying to think, hey, this is just a little bit of sweatiness, a little bit of nausea. This is no big deal. You can get to a point where you start to become confused and lethargic and tired, and at that point it might be too late for you to even have the wherewithal to call for help. The second most common mistake is not checking on your loved ones and your neighbors.
Thanks for watching the Advocate Channel's top stories. We're on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Follow, like, and share, or check out advocatechannel.com for even more stories that advocate for you.